The 2024 blowout is on now at the new Lloydminster Nissan. All remaining 2024 vehicles are priced at cost. Save thousands on a 2024 Nissan Armada, perfect for your family. Or check out the rugged 2024 Nissan Pathfinder and Nissan Frontier while they last. Plus, take advantage of half-price oil changes all month long and save 20% on brakes and rotors, including parts and labor, but only until April 30th. At the new Lloydminster Nissan, we won't sell you a car, we'll help you buy one.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Hey, welcome inside the new Lloydminster Nissan, home of the half-price oil change this April. Call 780-875-3555 and book your oil change today. Plus, you get 20% off on brakes and rotors today. That includes parts and labor, and that runs until April 30th as well. Plus, at the new Lloydminster Nissan, we're blowing out the remaining 2024 vehicles. There's not a lot of them, but what we have are at cost. That includes some Pathfinders, 2 Armadas, and we have a couple of Nissan Frontiers today as well. Stop in at the new Lloydminster Nissan. Take advantage of some great deals today in our service department and on the sales floor. We welcome you into Patchwork. We're excited to have Tracy K back co-hosting. Great to have you here, Tracy. We have Gary Becker here, and Gary is here with Longhorn Oil and Gas, and Rob Quist is here from Top Oil here as well today. We've had both of them on the show in the past, and today we're going to talk about those 10% tariffs that were imposed by Donald Trump south of the border. It's not just a name, it is Superior Water. Superior Water has 2 locations in Lloydminster, and they're open on Saturdays and Sundays to make filling your big blue jugs a whole lot quicker and a whole lot easier. And if you want great tasting water right from your tap, call the Superior Water team and ask about their under-the-sink reverse osmosis systems. 780-875-6636. I drink Superior Water because I like the taste. After all, it is Superior Water. Open on 57th Avenue, Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 5. And of course, you can stop in anytime at their coin-operated location just off Highway 17 South by 7-Eleven. I want to congratulate Marie Cube here in Lloydminster. She drives for Border City Connects, and not to mention she spent years as an LPN in the maternity ward at the Lloydminster Hospital. She also has an elderly mother that she takes care of. Marie is our latest recipient of Cupcakes for Caregivers, presented by Sobeys Lloydminster and the Lloydminster District United Way. Caregivers can be overlooked so often and taken for granted, and Cupcakes for Caregivers is our way to say thank you to them. Everybody is eligible. If you are a caregiver, whether it's a doctor or whether it's a nurse or whether it's a family member or a care home staff member, you know what? Everybody can be nominated, and we just need you to help us out by nominating those people. So send us an email today to livewithkurtprice@gmail.com. We're very excited to team up with Kenny Mack and KM Artesian Hot Sauce for our KM and KP Spring Sizzler contest. This is your chance to win a brand new Canadian-made barbecue and KM Artesian Hot Sauce for a year. That's 26 bottles of hot sauce. Yeah,
That's
Kenny's.
a lot of sauce.
It's like the Kenny Mack go through the hot sauce in a year.
Spicy.
Amount. So we said we should have given away a fridge as well. Keep all that in, but we remind you just to make sure you're shopping local. And when you pick up a bottle of KM Artesian hot sauce, you're definitely supporting local. Kenny designed his hot sauce right here in Lloydminster. He's got it in stores. He has started from the bottom and worked his way up. And when you help out Kenny Mack, he puts it right back into the community, of course. When you advertise on Live with Kurt Price, you put it right back into the community. And so we really appreciate everybody doing what they can to support local. That's what this is all about, this fun contest. So like and share the poster and comment on it, and you have a chance to win a beautiful Canadian-made barbecue valued at over $600 and artesian hot sauce and spice
And spice.
From KM Artesian Hot Sauce for a year. The future of women's hockey is coming to Lloydminster for the 2025 SO Cup. From April 20th to 26th, watch the host Lloydminster Steelers face off against 5 regional champions from across Canada at the Centennial Civic Centre. Full event ticket packages are on sale now, starting at $90. Visit hockeycanada.ca/SO Cup to get your tickets and be there when Canada's women's U18 club champions are crowned this spring. And Umbrella Marketing and Design is proud to present Elevate 2025 on May the 10th. That's a day designed for young women ages 12 to 18. And of course, their mother figures as well. It's all based around Mother's Day. And what they'll be doing is they'll be having guest speakers to develop life skills, guest speakers that are local to Lloydminster. And they're going to be doing empowerment sessions on everything from physical health to protecting our young girls on the internet. The keynote speaker is Jess Tatu. She left home when she was 15 years old. She's built an empire around the Just For You day spas, including, of course, there's one here in Lloydminster as well. So if you would like tickets, go to umbrella-inc.ca. And we are excited to get into Patchwork. We're going to do that. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about those tariffs on oil and gas and what it means to these 3 producers when we return here at the new Lloydminster Nissan.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
At CK McKean Roofing, they understand what it took to put that roof over your head for your family. With over 20 years of experience under their belt, they strive to show you that with their workmanship and their integrity. Not all roofing companies are created equal, and that's why CK McKean Roofing encourages you to focus on your most important investments, your home and your family. CK McKean Roofing. Roofers do it on top.
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
They're committed, certified, reliable, and will help you get your life back. BioClean Disaster Services is not only Lloydminster's local restoration company, they're Lloydminster's largest restoration company. And there's a reason that you see them everywhere, whether it's on the naming of the pool or whether it's on bench signs. That's because they are so local. And what does that mean? They'll help you get your life back. Well, they will take care of you and your family, because taking care of your property and belongings is so important. But what really matters to BioClean Disaster Services is taking care of you and your family. 1-833-246-8326. Well, we welcome you back inside the new Lloydminster Nissan, and we are excited to have Tracy K back co-hosting for another edition of Patchwork. And we have Gary Becker here from Longhorn Oil and Gas, and we have Rob Quist here from Top Oil. And we've had both these gentlemen on the show before. So today we're going to focus a little bit more on what is happening with the 10% tariffs. Does it matter? Does it make a difference? What is happening with our pipelines across Canada? Would that make a difference? Well, these 3 producers are the guys who would have the best opinion on that. It might not be the right opinion, but it will be their own measured opinion.
It'll be an opinion.
That's right. So thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you guys. We're here pretending we're kind of at the Nissan drinking Tim Hortons coffee. That's all this talk is about today. But, you know, tariff, I mean, tariff. people probably didn't even know what tariff meant until Trump started talking about tariffs. And now tariffs is like, I don't know, the new orange or the new brown out there, whatever color you want to call it. And so I just want to tell our audience, for those that may not know what a tariff is when they're talking about it, a tariff or duty, the words are used interchangeably. And it's a tax levied by governments on the value, including freight and insurance, of imported products. Different tariffs applied on different products by different countries. So when you're sending something to another country, they say, great, we thank you for that, but we're going to ding you another 25%. And then they send you something to our country, and we go, thank you, we really appreciate that, but we're going to charge you 40%. Whatever that calculation is, I don't know what that calculation and how that's done, but that's what a tariff is. So, to start off the show,
It's
Trump,
another tax, and we've taxed enough.
Yeah, it is. And so what Trump is saying, hey, we're sending stuff to you and it's been moderately tariffed or heavily tariffed, and when you send stuff to us, we've been moderately tariffing you. And so he's sitting there saying, hey, you know what, I'm supposed to be all about my family, and I don't think my family, aka the United States of America, is getting as good a deal as what we should be. And as much as you want to say he's ruffled a lot of feathers in the hen house, and here we are talking about tariffs.
So the first question I have is, does a 10% tariff on oil and gas going to the United States affect directly local producers?
So?
Does it affect you, Rob?
Yeah, it's going to, without a doubt. There's going to be a little bit of, basically, the 10% is going to get charged to us, or we're going to get 10% less price. We don't know exactly how it's all going to play out yet. I won't say that I do know exactly how this is going to all work out, but it's going to, the end user is the one with tariffs who ends up biting the bullet, because when industry gets a 10% tariff on it, they pass those costs down, and it's always the person at the end of the line that ends up paying the most for tariffs, because industry doesn't lose money. So we're kind of the end of the line in the oil industry. The buyer will buy the oil, and the 10% will come off, and they're going to take it off us. They're going to make sure their margins are right? That's how I see it. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that, but I haven't had long enough to know exactly how it's all going to work out, but I can tell it's hurt the Lloyd area so far, because there's jobs getting canceled. People are pulling the reins in. There's just not the excitement there was 5-6 months ago.
Even 5-6 months ago.
Yeah, there was a lot of projects that were going to happen, and people were gearing up to spend money, and a lot of that's been, they're still, everybody's kind of in a wait and see mode, right? I personally, we're not spending money. We're not doing service jobs on marginal wells. We're not, because we don't know. So my rig crew that works for me all the time, they haven't worked very much, and that's directly 100% due to tariffs. So it's got a lot of broad-reaching effects.
Yeah, it might not be the monetary part; it's the uncertainty that
exactly.
Everybody holding back spending. So instead of that money being recycled in the economy, or having the confidence to reinvest it, and the economy doesn't get lubricated. Daniel Smith, I as a Saskatchewan resident, got to give a good shout out to the Alberta Premier, and I think she did a good job. I think there's a reason that's only a 10% tariff, and I know she's getting a lot of flack of it from a lot of saying traitor and that, but I think her handling of that problem, a 10% tariff versus probably could have been 25 by going to talk to your neighbor and having face-to-face conversations and not putting the wall up. I think that's really helped. So, maybe the dollar, if we got a 10% tariff when everything else is 25, we'll have a weaker Canadian dollar, so maybe it'll offset. But
we, when those kind of things are happening, there's nobody that can represent your kids better than you, right? Like, I can't go and speak on behalf of your kids or your kids, but yet we've got somebody over we're not even back into Parliament yet, and we've got a new leader, and he's going to go and speak on behalf of our oil. the only one, the strongest person that can speak on behalf of our oil would be Danielle Smith for Alberta. But prices are staying close, Kurt. I just want to throw that in there real quick. When we start getting into double digits on our differential between WTI and Western Canadian Select, then the value of our oil is not going to be as strong. But if we're following those guys around pretty closely, we're going to stay pretty strong on that. Western Canadian Select was at $59.36 US a barrel. WTI was at $66.70. So you're looking at only about $7 differential. If you stay under double digits, that's really good for our dollar. I'm doing the optimistic stuff here right now. Drilling counts are still down across the board. This is drilling. 592 in the US, 163 in Canada, and 905 internationally, which is down about 6 or 7% from last year.
Okay, I was wondering about that because it's breakup too, right?
Yeah.
It can be in some places, and so we're still kind of holding up on the status quo of that. But from an optimistic side, I'm going to put my vendor hat on here for a second. We're still seeing some of the bigger companies continue with their projects of 100 wells. Like we've got a couple of companies that are still going to continue on with a minimum 100 wells each of these two companies we're dealing with right now. Asking them about what that affects, they just said they're maybe so deep into their forecasting that they're automatically going to do it anyways, just based on no matter what, because if they said, you know, those guys have probably got a room full of people that are analyzing that no matter what happens, we're still doing this. We're a little closer to the grindstone and with what we've got to do, but they're staying optimistic on the stuff they're going to do in this area on a couple of the big producers for sure. So for that reason, I was telling the guys here before we came on, you know, if the value of the oil gets to a really high price and we don't want it to happen, and the tariff came down, is it still going to be a better price than what we had before? That would excite me, because if it was $80 a barrel and it was a 10% tariff, we're still at $72 US a barrel, then down in the 50s, we're still going to do well. Can Trump pull that off? And the comment Kurt was saying this morning is the short-term pain for the long-term gain. Well, short-term, you know, you cut your arm, you got to get that dealt with right away. That's still short-term, but it can bleed you out real quick. You have to decide how long people are going to want to cooperate with that.
Do you guys see that happening? Do you see the price of oil? Like, is Trump because his drill, baby, drill,
It's not.
it actually has the opposite effect, doesn't it?
Drill Baby Drill, Drill Baby Drill is, oil companies don't work for the government. They need a good oil price, and the oil price got down in the, you know, last month there was like 66. The shale play in the States isn't they can't make money at those kind of numbers. So they're not going to drill baby drill, and that's where the majority of their production's coming from. They have put heavy tariffs on Venezuela, so there's no Venezuela oil coming. They're put heavy tariffs on Russia, trying to stop that. They're going after Iran. They just sent an aircraft carrier into the Middle East to, like, all that stuff. Any one of those should drive the price of oil up, and it hasn't really. So I don't know if it's just, there's more things happening in the world to make the price of oil go up than there is to make it go down right
100%.
now, in my opinion.
I agree.
And I'm not, if I knew 100% what was going on, if any of us knew 100% what was going on, we'd be trading.
We said we wouldn't
oil
be here, would be in our yacht or our
It would be-
private jet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or feeding the, you know, as for you, Gary, all of us as producers of, if we were doing that, we'd just try to help make a difference in the community because we're doing that much better. I think that's a good answer.
Is it is it like you had said, the uncertainty has been awful for putting dollars back into communities for those big purchases and things like that. But is it uncertainty around what he's doing that's holding the oil price back?
I think fear of recession, like in the world with what he's doing. So, I mean, oil.
It affects it the same way, right?
Yeah, like there's a real fear that he's going to throw the entire world economy into recession. There is some good things. China's posted good numbers for 6 months in a row.
If you can believe them.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
Germany hasn't been able to deficit finance since World War II, and they just passed a law that they can start deficit financing in the EU, and they think that's going to put a ton of money in. I don't think they should do it, but they think they're going to put a ton of stimulus money into the EU. So that's all good for the economy too. If you took the US out of the picture, the world economy is quite good, but what Trump's doing is throwing a little bit of a fly in the ointment, and who knows where it's going.
But are they not one of the biggest economies in the world? So for that reason, they're going to fluctuate the meter when it comes to world economy pretty heavy, Rob.
They are the world's largest economy, no doubt about it. But are they big enough? Right now, they're taking on the rest of the world. Are they big enough to do that? I don't know. Like this, we're sitting here having coffee talking, and it's some pretty deep conversations. But the unfortunate part is it affects us. Like what's going on down there, it affects us. And thank God we do have people like Daniel Smith and Scott Moe, because they stood up and fought for us. That's all you want your politician to do. The people in America love Trump because he's standing up and fighting for what's good for the U.S. It's not good for us. We're all pissed, but we're wasting all this energy worrying about what a guy's doing down there that we have we can't fight it. This dollar for dollar tariffs, we get ate up so fast, their economy's 20 times bigger than
Rob,
ours.
we walk around stumbling around trying to pick up a nickel, and $12, $20 bills fell out of our pocket. And you're right. I think we get so hyped up on something somebody else is trying to do for us instead of getting to the place where we're just understanding what we do in our own country and making ourselves stronger. If we make ourselves stronger, the outside effects of other people is smaller. Does that make sense? It does, right? If we're stronger, then the outside effects are smaller. So diving into that part of it as well is if we had a whole bunch of other options right now to take our oil to other different countries around the world and get a way better price for it, if we wanted to, in the snap of our fingers, would this be affecting us from what Trump is saying in the oil industry as much? It would not.
Oh, 100%.
Because we had more options. What's happened is we've been caught not prepared if something like this came up, and now we're upset because we don't have an alternate plan, so we're upset. Is that a fair statement, Gary?
A made in Canada problem. I mean,
100%.
The last 10 years, I've always said it's a lost decade in oil. Like the stream I sell heavy into went negative 3 times. Negative. Like,
Where your oil is worth less.
Did you get charged for your oil during this time?
It went negative 3 times.
I had to pay to deliver oil.
And that was the basis, because we didn't have enough pipelines, and you set the price for your Canadian oil the month before, and I remember that one month it settled at minus 40.
Worst less than the bottle cap.
And WTI was at 60. It was in November, and then WTI went down to like $41 a barrel. So you're getting $1 a barrel, and that was the subsidy we were giving to the states at that time, because we did not have any other market.
Right. And
we were hauling oil and training, and I'm like, I feel not as bad in this situation right now than what we did 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's when I was on last time, was right after that, and it was you got people working
Gary.
for you, and you got all this stuff happening and going on. You're trying to make a go of it, and you deliver your product, and they send you a bill. It was just like, this is crazy.
I remember having I found a bottle cap somewhere, and I looked at that bottle cap and I said, that bottle cap is worth more than you could compare that to saying that's worth more than a barrel of oil. There is absolutely no way that should have ever happened, that a barrel of oil was never worth anything. It should never have happened.
The crazy part about this is and I'm not a conspiracy guy, but the day before oil went negative, the laws changed so they could do that. They changed the laws right before saying, because it was illegal to trade a commodity below zero 2 days before oil went to minus 40.
Come on.
No, I'm dead serious.
Down the rabbit hole.
No, I'm dead serious. It happened.
So the question for me, and I'm on the outside looking in, you guys are right in the middle of it. But when I hear Donald Trump say he's going to put a 10% tariff on oil and gas, I go, hey, wait a minute, we're already selling to you at a discount. So why wouldn't you want to take advantage of that even more?
Let me elaborate on that a little bit. There was always this comment about a discount, and I hope I want to correct this for the audiences. We are sending so much oil to them that this is the price that they're getting down there. I wish I had the article that was commenting about that. Is it discounted, or is it actually being sent down there at the prices we've agreed to? Just a cool comment, right?
What's your guys' thoughts on that?
We're the cheapest oil in the world. We are. Western Canadian Select is, if you look on all, there's, I don't know how many, there must be 50 different places where you can sell oil, and it's different prices, and whether it's in Yemen or whatever. But we are consistently the lowest price. That always is. And it's partly because we don't have any other place
Options.
to go.
That's right.
Now the TMX has opened up some, 20% of our total production goes to the coast now.
Yeah.
But it all ends up down in the States anyways.
California,
They just take it to California and to the refineries down there, down the coast. So 95% of our oil ends up in the US. And yes, I somewhat agree with Tracy. We agree to that price. We know it going in. If you want to be in the game, it's the only thing we can do.
Go somewhere else if you don't like the price that the Americans are giving you. So saying that respectfully, Kurt, I don't know if I would consider it to be a discounted price. There's the customer. This is what we have agreed on. If we were selling our oil to other parts of the world, then we could compare that price to what we're doing in the States and say, hey, you're getting a better price.
Leverage.
But we don't have a lot of places to compare that to because of that. So the dynamic comes up as us producers talking. The dynamic's going to come up is that Kenny Rogers song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. And what is going to be there? Trump was commenting, we got all the oil we need. We don't need their oil. That is not a fair comment. I won't say true, not true. I'll say not a fair comment. 3 million to 4 million barrels per day of our oil goes down to the U.S. How's that working for you? Where are you picking that up from? In your own country. I'm not
Heavy
talking
oil.
Venezuela. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Not from Texas, not from Venezuela, not from Mexico, not from any place else in your own country. You can't bring that extra oil on right now. So your choice is to try to work with us and try to make this work out, because we need you and you need us. And how is that working for you? So the reason why we're in that bit of a state right now, if we could say, Trump, thank you very much. You know, you make America great again, and we're going to head out. We're going to head over to Europe with our stuff. That is a way more powerful bargaining chip for us right now that we don't have in place because of the pipelines to bargain with. So we're sitting here going, it's got to go down south. We can't go east. We got to talk to Trump. Tell me your thoughts on that, guys.
Just listening to that though, I go, isn't that where his drill baby drill comes in?
But we're heavy
doesn't need our oil.
right? We're the heavy end. In fairness, like the States still is one of the best markets. In Canada, we're pretty blessed to be neighbors to the biggest,
Absolutely.
strongest country in the
to sell
world,
our oil.
connected on pipeline. And I think we got to take advantage. I know the thing nobody what do we want to get built 5 years ago? Keystone XL.
Yeah.
What's Trump want built now? Keystone XL. Yeah. Why don't we, and I know diversity, and I think we need Northern Gateway.
We do.
We need Energy East.
We do.
But I mean, to appease Trump, he wants to, and
it's built.
And it's built.
it's half built.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a chance, you should, and I don't think out of our Eastern leaders, that's a no-go politically. You'll not appease the state. They're getting like this with the states. I think that is totally the wrong approach.
I agree 100%.
Just get to the room. You know what? Our military is depleted. I see him on the news talking about buying European fighter jets. It's like, I think I'd probably go down to our neighbor in the States and, rearm our military.
And use that in negotiations.
Yeah, how do we work as a team for the
100%.
best benefit of neighbors?
Let's go down the rabbit trail here for 2 more seconds on where are all the refineries that are refining our oil to go to the States?
There is none.
The
Okay,
only,
so
the
that's
only
number
thing
one.
that is the upgrader, but
Right.
it's not a full blown.
But you're looking at all the oil that refines, the refineries that refine oil are heavy oil refineries. They're set up to go and decide that they're gonna start refining different oil is billions of dollars worth of change. There's hundreds of thousands of people doing the refinery work at those places that if we said we're done today, how do those people go down the line and figure out what's gonna happen on that end? There's no way it's gonna be a shut-off situation. We're gonna have to try to work that out. The refineries are set up with to do 4 million barrels a day of our crude, not light crude or Venezuelan crude or whatever. That is gigantic suppression or gigantic effect on the American economy, what that's going to do. So for them to say we're done and we're not going to adjust, they're not ready for that infrastructure either.
And they love our crude, our oil, because it's heavy for a reason. It has more carbon bonds. The more carbon bonds you have, the more products you can make. So they can make, if lighter oil doesn't have as many carbon bonds, you can't make as many products like your pentanes and your, I'm not a refiner, but the high end, you can crack a molecule of heavy oil into way more streams or products than you can of light oil. So they say our oil's not as good a quality and all that. It's kind of a bit of a sales pitch. It actually is high. It's harder to work with, that's no doubt. But as far as the products you can make with it, you can make more products with heavy than you can with light oil.
It's a harder product to refine, but they put the capital into
Yes.
the refineries and they can make, you
Better-
get better
more
runs of diesel with heavy.
Yes.
Which diesel is more profitable than gas.
So even when Trump says drill baby drill, to bring on 4 million barrels a day in Texas is asking for a Hail Mary. And first of all, you couldn't do it overnight. You couldn't even do that in the next, how many years do you guys think? To get 4 million barrels a day extra out of Texas?
I think they could do it.
Yeah, I think they could do it, but that ain't
They're not
happening
going to do
overnight.
it. They're not going to do it at these prices.
I would be amazed if they
Yeah,
could do it.
$100 a barrel. They'll
$100 a barrel, they could maybe do it, but
4 million
But
barrels
it's the
a day.
wrong product. It's
Could they
light,
do that
sweet.
on Trump's term?
For
time
sure,
or
I
4
think
years?
they could. I mean, their resource is their tier 1 locations are getting depleted. But
Yeah.
I think I would never underestimate the USA.
I think we're foolish to do that.
Yeah.
Like, we're in a great spot in Canada, and as much as we're bitching and complaining about things, they're the world's largest economy, and we're right next door. We got to remember that. We need to just chill out here a little bit and like you said, work with them, because nobody else has that advantage except Mexico. We're right next door to them. And we got more resources than almost anywhere in the world. What is our oil third largest reserve in the world? We've got all the precious metals. We've got uranium. We got potash.
Good ag sector.
And you know what? The liberals out east, they're all, you can't develop that. We're the dumbest country in the world. We should just be
Greatest resources with the least amount of, greatest resources with the most potential with the least
Yes.
amount of
people.
people
What
and,
makes you
and
wealthy?
application, right?
we should just be, and I'm not saying we should rape and pillage our country but when there's a resource to develop, we should develop it. It's just, it's great. Things just get pushed away. Oh, we can't do that because there's all the red tape and all the people you have to appease, so nobody's willing to do business here.
That goes back to it. That goes back to what you were saying when you said, our oil is sold at the least amount of money, but it's also regulated at the highest, is it not?
Oh, I would say we would be one of the most ethical producers
We are.
in the world.
I used to say that our oil was, people would say, well, oil isn't green. I said, our oil in Canada, for what we have to go through, is green energy, in my opinion. Putting my vendor's hat on for a second, if I have 80% of my Titus Tools business with one company, why am I chasing around trying to get that other 20% when 80% of my business is coming from those guys, and try to work that out more? Why is that any different than what we're doing right now with Americans? If that is the massive amount of our business, of our oil going down there, wouldn't we think we would try to work that out with them over anything, like Rob said? If that's 80% of my Titus customer, and I'm trying to chase the other 20%er out by patronizing them. What if I got really good at taking care of that 80% customer and it created more revenue for me than trying to chase the other 20% that probably really don't care about me? We would do the same thing with America, right? I think what Gary said is us going against that, well, we'll show him. I don't know, that's like the heavyweight championship of the world and you're putting a 13-year-old person in there to try to fight that guy.
Look what Doug Ford did. Doug Ford, they always do 25% tariffs.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut off electricity. Trump, in about 4 hours, said, you do that. I don't know what was said.
Steel. He doubled his tariffs on steel.
All of a sudden,
It was redacted in a day.
he said, no, you're not going to do that to America because people were freaked out. They were worried about their electricity getting cut off.
Yes.
In one day, he fixed the problem, and Doug Ford comes back, yeah, we rescinded that. We'll just live with the 25% tariff. Well, the people in the state, that's what you want your politicians to do, is stand up for you. He did exactly what they wanted him to do.
Okay, but what really,
and Doug Ford tried saying that's a win. He started at 25%, and at the end, he's like, well, we'll just accept it. And people said, good for Doug Ford standing up for us. Still got the 25% tariff, and it did nothing.
Do you want your hockey team to win, or do I want my hockey team to win? You want your hockey team to win.
Absolutely.
I want my hockey team to win. That is politics at the highest level. As a politician in your area, and you know, we have our people and we appreciate them. That is what you hope they're doing, is standing up for your region to get you the best value for what you want them to do in your area. That is no different than what's going on between the two countries.
He's at 48% approval rating. What was Trudeau at here? Like 12?
I might have been less, but I'll tell you, like, Rob, what makes me angry when I hear Donald Trump say, well, you know, when he says he's going to put 25% taxes, it wasn't called tariffs, remember, it was called the tax on our energy going south. Well, now you're really messing with people. What does he think he's doing, putting tariffs on everything? Like, messing with his people. But what does he think he's doing north of the border by putting he's messing with our lives. There's such a disconnect.
He doesn't care.
But that's what makes me angry.
Yeah.
That's when I start looking, going, maybe we should. And we'll take a break, and when we come back, because that's what Jagmeet is saying. Well, if he's going to do this, and he needs, because you guys have said he can't replace our oil, why don't we just tariff our oil going south?
No.
We'll discuss that when we come back here at the new Lloydminster Nissan.
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
At Jason Arden Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
It's more than just taxes at L&A CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at L&A CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. L&A CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
The brand new community of Wellings Lloydminster lives life to the fullest. At Wellings, their mission is to enable connection, build community, and enrich the lives of their 55-plus members. Discover a new way of living and retirement and experience more freedom with every choice you make. At Wellings of Lloydminster, independence speaks for itself, and the social opportunities outside your door are endless. Visit Wellings of Lloydminster at 3211 72nd Avenue on the Alberta side and discover more at wellingsoflloydminster.com. We welcome you back inside the new Lloydminster Nissan, where we have, once again, we have Gary Becker here, we have Rob Quist here, and we are talking, of course, Tracy Kay as well. And we've been talking about what these tariffs mean coming into our country. And when we left, I said, what about the tariffs going out of our country? And there was an empathetic and a loud no, absolutely not. And we've heard that from Daniel Smith over and over again. Explain to us why. Explain to us why when I say, if they need our oil, if they need our energy, let's tariff it, and they'll come back to the, like, because I hear a lot of times people like Jagmeet Singh say, we'll have a negotiation immediately if we tax our
Gary,
our
why
oil.
did you say no so loud?
Well, same thing when, two neighbors fighting, I don't think you escalate the dispute, and that would definitely escalate it with probably no real winner, aka the U.S. consumer or us as producers. Bad idea, and it really hurts the West, especially Saskatchewan and Alberta.
It's retaliation.
Very
the
little
actual
effect to the
outcome,
east.
right?
Very little. Yeah.
And that's what I find the most scariest is I think I'm more worried about what our
own people are going to
do, because in the last 10 years in our industry,
We've been fighting the Fed for 10 years, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah, there's been no support for Western energy.
How were things different for you guys when it was a conservative government? Because they didn't build pipelines either.
There wasn't it's not like we get government money and all that stuff, but there wasn't the constant, fear of what was going to happen. I'm more worried about, Trump, the 10%, I'm more worried about what our own politicians will do. Because, if they say, oh, yeah, no, we're going to cut off, or we're going to limit the amount of oil that goes south, or cut it off the oil supply to show them a lesson, they're throwing Western Canada under the bus. And history has proven that they've done it time and time again. Right now, they basically have in the farming market with the canola. You never hear there's 100% tariff on canola, and it's the second largest.
And let's go back
in Canada, and
and what caused that?
Yeah, there's because
why they put that tariff on? Because they put 100%. They're a green government, but they put 100% tariff on Chinese EVs. So China retaliated. Well, where does the EVs? If you flood Canada with cheap EVs, who does it affect? Manufacturing in Ontario. So China retaliates, puts 100% tariff on Western Canadian canola.
And
who pays the price?
It's no big deal.
Nobody's
They're throwing
talking
Western Canada under the bus again. But our own politicians, shutting off supply, we're all done. Our economy in Western Canada grinds to a halt, almost instantly.
Would they shut off supply?
I don't. I think it would be an act of war. That if you shut off
separation,
if you shut off somebody's, even in Europe, they didn't shut Russian gas coming off to Germany because Russia didn't want to go to war with Germany. Shutting off somebody's energy supply is a very big deal.
You said that to me when we first heard of the tariff, and I thought, wow, if you took the power that the Ontario grid is supplying to the U.S. states and knocked our oil back, I think that would make the U.S. cranky. very cranky and decide if and that is not what we would want to do. We're not going to win that anytime quick.
It's economic suicide. Like right now, they're all upset about the cars out east. Well, what happened? What would happen if the government said we're going to stop shipping cars to the States? What would the EV?
We hear Danielle say that all the time.
Like it's something you can't do. You can't shut down an industry. Yeah. Oil's 20% of the GDP. The Liberals, they don't care about GDP. I don't think they
haven't shown it over 10 years.
Yeah, but
you cannot shut down something like that. The implications to our country would be so vast.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I keep hearing you guys say, well, we're more worried about what our own government is going to do to us. I can't imagine living in fear like that. Like, what was our own government going to do? But what our government is going to do, and Mark Carney has said if he is elected he will still do, is put that emissions cap on. What does that do to you guys?
Well, no growth in oil. Like, I mean, that's where he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. He's like, yeah, we want to get pipelines. He doesn't want to repeal Bill 69 or
yeah.
And emissions cap is like, how are you going to stimulate this country?
Yeah.
He's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
We want to produce more crops, but we don't want you to use any more fuel.
Does an emissions cap affect you guys directly?
I don't see it as much. I don't.
It would affect the country, though.
Yeah, I mean, it would affect the country, and the big producers probably even more.
It's once again, he's actually going to raise the emissions cap more on industry than he is to make up the difference from taking the carbon tax off the general person. But what the supplier of the fuel is just going to charge more for the fuel, so it's going to end up being the consumer who pays that bill anyways. Like anytime you do anything like that, the poor old person living across the street's got his mouth wide open and the stuff's flowing downhill.
Kurt, I'm giving your shoes to you for free, but your shirt is $14 more now.
That's exactly right.
You still got the money out of it.
That's going to end up being the end user is the one who's going to pay, and it's always the end user who pays with all this stuff, and that's not good for the economy.
And a big shout out to Sask government abolishing the industrial carbon tax last week. Like it is you see it driving. I mean, I guess that's the consumer one on the pumps, but I know my power bill and with my business, it was a material thing.
You probably pump your wells with electric drives, don't you?
Yeah, it's all electric. And it was, I had to actually write an article to the government to explain like the effect, and it was like.
Yeah. The other part is that honestly, let's boast for a minute. Do you think that if we weren't putting 4 million barrels of oil into the United States every day, that we would be in a negotiation tariff like the rest of the countries are? I think that's favor for Canada, knowing.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm going to boast on that for a second. For all those people out there in our audience right now thinking, you're welcome, and I'm going to say that on the air, is that our oil production going to the U.S. is a massive negotiating tool for us with the U.S. that Trump has got to play a little bit more of a different situation on than the rest of the countries. And notice on the reciprocals, when I watched the press and in his little charts he was holding up, I didn't see any reciprocals on there from Canada, because he's being sensitive about that and knows that that is a powerful, powerful negotiating agent for us. I truly believe that.
It's we waste so much time and energy worrying about Trump right now, and it's not constructive.
We got to look in the mirror as a country,
deal with our own stuff.
And
let's go into
fix
that.
our problems.
Let's go into that, Rob, and then I'll ask you, Gary. Trump's out of the picture. What would you say if you could snap your fingers or send an email request and the next day it was done? What would be some things that you could say could really boost our oil and gas economy if it was in place?
Just
good question.
Yeah, and you kind of sprung it on me, and I'm thinking here, but the biggest thing is regulations. Like we've had some regulations come in, and I don't know what it's like with dealing with SARM, but the AER right now, they do their job well. I'm not bashing the AER; they're good, but some of the regulations we have to deal with are crippling.
They're costing you money.
They're costing us, and it's not just, it's kind of death by 1,000 cuts. Like I just got my Orphan Well Association that I have to pay into.
So did I.
And it's not a small number. Yeah. And then next month's the AER what they charge you to be part of the AER, and it's not a small number. And then, you know, the next month the taxes come, and that's definitely not a small number. Like last year, I ended up spending 12% of my gross went directly to a government or government agency. That's gross. That's not net. That's a huge number, man. That should be 5-6%. It's just there's this mentality that, oh, the oil companies can pay for that. The oil companies can pay for that. Well, you know, I'm not Synovus. I'm not CNRL. I'm not posting $2 billion a month profits. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and that's the biggest thing I would want changed.
Would you want to? Do you think that we would create better value because of the fact that we have other markets to sell our oil, Rob?
Oh, without a doubt.
Would that not be your second
100%. If we could get to other markets, the regulations won't change, but it just gives you more. Anytime you have more options, you're better.
So if you were getting $100 a barrel for our oil, us guys right now, would we be able to manage some of those 1,000 cuts better? I think we would, right?
Well, yeah, because your margins are going to get better without a doubt. But it's still, I'm not going to agree with 1,000 cuts. You still bleed.
Yeah.
Right. And the money that's all money that gets sent away and doesn't, like when I make money here, it's going right back in.
$12 off your gross, 12% on your gross is some pretty good shekels back into your account.
Oh yeah, and we're all local companies that are putting money back into our area. And, you know, I'm supporting local things and donations and all that stuff. It's good for the economy to have government get out of the way, right? That's my opinion.
Yeah. Is it the same way in Saskatchewan?
MER, so we had an oil company in Alberta. We bought it in the downturn and we sold it about a year ago in Alberta. Alberta is a way more regulatory, and like Saskatchewan, it seems like they want to grow their oil and they're working, they're regulating and there's a lot of regulations, but Alberta, very hard to be a small producer.
Everything's geared
very
towards
hard.
the big guys.
And I think they do that because, you're 4 million barrels a day and we're, I think 300 or 400,000, maybe we're 400,000 barrels a day.
10% of that, something like that, yeah.
But really enjoy Saskatchewan over Alberta.
What's your reset button? What's your push button on your computer, Gary, that says this is what I would like to see? Maybe, and I'm a Saskatchewan producer, like 99% of my stuff's in Saskatchewan. I find the same thing. I find our regulations are tolerable. Yeah, and where it still would be something that creates that value. You get to hit a couple buttons that make a change in your oil. Would it be the lines to go?
I think, in this Canada situation, so you're mad at the States, well then let's get the big lines, like Northern Gateway has to go.
Yeah.
Do that while you can. Keystone XL, of course no political, maybe Danielle and Mo would want that right away, because I think you could get that line done. I don't think the federal level is.
But none of that oil gets to stop in the U.S. It goes to the Gulf of Mexico and then we sell it, right?
That's the worst. That's the worst part about this.
We got a toll booth to the U.S.
Goes to the Gulf Coast and the Panama Canal over to Asia.
They export more oil than we do.
So are we talking about within Canada too? Like, because I hear everybody saying, "Well, we get that pipeline to the east. Well, we'll all be happy."
Well, I think it would benefit them. Like they're buying Brent crude. That if you've watched the oil market, Brent, which is the European,
which is $3 to $4,
and they're buying
more than WTI. So they're like,
And so why is that unethical oil?
Too, why, right? After all these years, after how many conservative governments, after how many liberal governments, can't we get that through?
It's a province called Quebec.
It is 100%. You're still. This is the other goofy part. I used to tell everybody, if I'm growing carrots in my garden, why am I going to the grocery store to pick up carrots? But yet we're doing it in our own country because is it easier? Supposedly the thing is it's easier. So we're buying oil from other countries that we talk about ethics. And right now it's about an ethical or ethics situation between the president and our country. and whether that's ethical or not. But then you follow the rabbit trail back to the oil that's coming into Canada on the east side of the country, and I'll bet you my life's earnings that not all of that stuff is ethical oil that's coming in. So we're oxymoroning ourselves.
Irving oil is in a roundabout way because Russian oil goes to India. India says, well, no, that's our oil now. India sends it to Irving oil. We're finding Russian oil in Canada. They know it's happening.
So that's where the breakdown has to be. First of all, we're upset because of that. But why, if that's the case, then why are we not supporting our own troops of oil in Canada? If that's the case and we say we're all about Canadians, why are we buying outside oil from other countries? That will stop some politicians in that east side's talk for a while, right?
One thing I've thought about it a little bit more, because you kind of put me on the spot with that question. One thing I think that would be of huge benefit to us would be to get more refineries. If we had more refineries and we could, look what the upgrader has done for this community. And it's not even a full-blown refinery, right? There's a lot of people work there. There's a lot of work that happens. We're getting cost plus on the product that goes through it. The refinery, nobody's building refineries anywhere because oil's dead. I'd like to think that mentality's gone out the window. I think we could get more for our product if we had refineries.
And we would be being able to negotiate at a greater level. If all of the refineries were on north of the American border, let's talk about that for a second. We were refining our own stuff. How much more negotiation would we have to that, Gary?
I think I disagree. I think more pipelines.
I don't mean that pipeline wouldn't be a part of that too.
The Alberta government spent, what did we spend? $2.2 billion for Keystone that we basically just said, right? Well, I forget how much that number was that we invested in.
It was a large number.
More than that.
Yeah. We could have built a refinery for that.
But what are you going to do with that? If you got a refined product,
but I hear what Gary's saying there. He's saying you got to get the lines in. You can have. It's like I got 500 pounds of gold in my hands here right now in my wheelbarrow. But okay, great.
You can't
get it anywhere to sell it. I do agree in that perspective of saying we got to get the lines somewhere else to be able to have other markets.
But the East has the refineries. We got to they got the capital sunk and they're get them the cheaper crude where the East Coast citizens benefit. We benefit because
if you've ever been to Petrolia, that's a big refinery there.
Where's that?
It's just just above Detroit, Michigan. And Petrolia is basically it refines all Eastern Canada's oil for them. That's a big refinery. But right now they're getting oil coming up from the States because it ends up going down to that Ohio hub and then it gets mixed and then it ends up going up to Petrolia.
It's such an oxymoron though, isn't it? Where you tell everybody we want to support everything that's made in Canada. And yet we're still buying that much oil on the east side of the country. That makes no sense to me. And I've always said that. How does that make sense that you're all for one and one for all in Canada and you're still buying stuff from somebody else? As Greta Thunberg said, how dare you? Then why are we doing that?
I'm really surprised her name came up on this table.
1.3 billion. I've just looked it up.
It was a big number.
1.3 billion.
So, we've got some stuff. We're all in agreement here that we've got some stuff that we need to clear up in our own house here, our own country, that if we had ourselves prepared internally, we wouldn't be as upset about what's happened. Is that a fair statement?
I agree, and let's use this as a turning moment where we get together and the country like that.
It seems like that's changing. Do you guys feel that's changing?
I hope it does.
I saw something the other day. A new poll said 78% of Canadians are in favor of developing our own oil and gas instead of bringing in oil and gas. Where do you think that 22% might be where it matters?
I don't think it's difficult. These are big projects, and we were almost to the finish line on some of them.
But that work's still done. All that
I'd like to think they could just carry on with it, but I don't know. Some,
Have we
like
tuckered
some of
out
those
the
were
pipeline
some of those were
companies?
10, 15 years in the making.
Yeah.
And it happened. It's idealistic
But not
to think
all
it's
that
going to
would have
happen
went.
like this.
Not all that would have went to waste. Like, I mean, there's a lot of it.
I
so
hope you're right.
Pick it up. Say
Have we tuckered out the pipeline companies? Is that why too?
no.
No?
Like,
Like,
I mean,
Their margin. Pipeline companies are good things to invest in, man. Their margins are
But
incredible.
what I meant
Well, they're
is they've been
steady,
to the table so
right.
many times, and then it's like, no.
They need reassurance. They need
Yeah.
federal reassurance.
Yeah.
Like Trans Mountain, and that wasn't the way either, because
No.
that should have not. A private company wanted to do that. The government made it so hard on them to do it,
Yeah.
and then they had to take it over, and it went over budget 3 times.
In the industry, you hear some horror stories about what the money that was made on that Trans Mountain and how people build, and it was just like,
Yeah, I mean, from
Some guys
making
made
sure,
Well, what the
making
cost-
sure that the,
it was
the
10 times at
Canada
least,
geese
right?
nests were
As
out
soon
of the
as
way, and that gopher got taken care of with the
It got a
pipeline
little.
went through.
It got a little crazy.
as soon as the
I guess
government got involved, the bills just got higher. And
But
higher
at
and
least
higher.
it all got recycled in Canada, right?
Yeah,
right
that's
or
true.
wrong, that money just stayed in the system. You got, like, since that line's been going, I bet we saved $8 a barrel off heavy diffs. Like,
It
we're
has-
around $12, and we were always 18 to 20.
Well, where we really noticed it was this December
I
and,
was
and
gonna
January
say, we
when
got away with that
the
good.
differential used to spread to like 26, 27.
Yeah, we stayed
This
in the
year it
teens.
stayed in, I think the highest it got was 17, right around there, wasn't it? But it made a big difference.
And not even the right pipeline, like Northern Gateway that can load the $2 million or 2 million barrel
It's a
day
deep water.
ship,
It's a deep
water,
water
like,
port.
and we went with the Trans Mountain that I think 500,000 barrel
Yeah, something like that,
max.
isn't it?
I think they can go up to 800. I think it's at about 500. It's not quite full yet. Their carrying charges are too high. People are having trouble stomaching that one.
Would it make, let's say tomorrow, Danielle has her way, the tariffs come off. Do you think that our economy locally takes a big boost from that? People stop?
I don't think the tariffs
hesitating?
are affecting the price much. I think it's the uncertainty of
It's the
tariffs
uncertainty.
that
If he
the
gets
whole
rid of
world
that
slowed
though,
down.
does that uncertainty go away? Would it go away for you guys? Would all of a sudden you start going, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe,
The
maybe
new
I do wanna do this.
technologies is what's going to make this area boom. A lot of times oil wells, it's not a short term. Like you're not going to say I'm going to go in there in 2 months make it. You got to look there. Got to look ahead. 5, 6 years, and will Donald Trump's tariffs be in then? I have no idea, but the technologies that people are using in this area now, some of the wells that are coming on are really good, and that's what's going to drive the oil economy in this area. Is these new technologies coming in and the multi-leg horizontals and that stuff. Some of them are working out.
Let me read you
extremely
something
well.
to you guys from BNN Bloomberg, just posted here yesterday. Last week, U.S. imports of Canadian oil rose to 4.42 million barrels a day, roughly tied for the record achieved in January, according to the government data. Record shipments of oil also went to a Pacific Marine terminal near Vancouver on the newly expanded Trans Mountain pipeline last month. So it's not getting worse of how much oil we're sending down there. It just seems like we're giving them more. So
What do we have to do to get that certainty back in our economy then?
Our politicians got to do it.
Yeah, our
Hey.
politicians need to do what they need to do.
we're ready. We're ready to. I think that the producers have no issues. If you told us drill, baby, drill, and we had incentives and everything was in place, that's never been an issue for us to produce more oil in Canada. The reason why we're not at the top of the world, the super top of the world, is because we've been suppressed to not be able to produce the highest level we want. I'll say this about a prime minister. His last name was Harp, and it ended with ER. Anyway, he said, if the country is in a good economical state, the rest of the problems are manageable. And we have never, I don't know in my lifetime of 46 years, especially not in this last while as producer, that we've ever been able to maximize our potential of the highest amount of income we could do in Canada with all our resources ever. It's always been suppressed because of the people on the far east side of the country, and that has got to change because they're the most populated with the most vote, that have the sway in us, that have the most land. So you got a farmer who's got 2 kids with 10,000 acres of land, and a farmer over here has got 12 kids with 1,000 acres of land, and you go to the vote to the community hall to share the land. Well, how's that going to work for that guy? And that's what we face all the time in Canada. We have all the resources with the least amount of vote. They have not the resources that we do with the most amount of vote. And we got to get together and get that changed. We really do.
You asked earlier, like, the reason Harper, I love Harper as a prime minister, and it was the stability. Everything was even keeled. There wasn't scandals all over the place. It was just like, okay, let's settle down. Yeah. And people out east didn't like him, fine, but things were just, and this uncertainty makes business hard. And that's the worst part of it right now. And I'm not even talking Donald Trump. The uncertainty in the Canadian politicians we've dealt with, like, it's been a long 10 years because they've not had our backs one bit.
So
I'll go back to, like, so we bought that one oil field in Alberta right when it was max pessimism, and the financing did not come out of Eastern Canada. They were like, even my main credit union I deal with, they're getting huge regulatory, they were to get not back resource industries, and those are very profitable industries. Like, so that money came out of a US banking life insurance thing, and they made extremely good profits. It was a no-brainer.
You start having to go after the sharks. That's what we're dealing with both insurance and banking in the oil industry. We don't have the big guys won't go to it.
And so it goes back to the same thing. If you're believing in what you believe in your own country and you won't support it, that gets tricky when you got to go somewhere else to try to get that support. That's the other thing that we face here is that part of it. I truly believe that if there was a saying years ago that I heard from a guy, if a loaf of bread is $25 a loaf, then why aren't we the ones owning the bakery? That's just good common sense for us. I truly believe that if we had the opportunity to do the best we could in oil and our other resources, we would absolutely thrive as one of the greatest countries on this earth to live in. And we're still trying to continue that way.
Don't kid yourself. That's why Trump's going on about the 51st state. And that's why he's going after Greenland. It has nothing to do with the people up here. It has everything to do with the resources.
Yeah.
What a country! We've been blessed with resources.
Yeah,
our climate's not awesome,
but the Canadian Shield's basically untapped. Yeah, and it's full of minerals.
Full of minerals. I did some research on that. The amount of billions of barrels that are in the Canadian Shield. We just have to decide how many drill bits we want to go through to get it.
Not oil, but like the uranium. We gotta.
Isn't that how Brad Wall got elected?
Lithium, copper.
We'll start to see improvement in Saskatchewan. Instead of closing down hospitals, we'll build them because we'll start developing our resources.
Go back to that change in sentiment from Saskatchewan to Alberta, and it started with Brad Wall, and it has changed. Everybody my age went to Alberta to work.
Have you noticed a big difference?
It's huge. Like, my kid graduated 2 years ago, another one. They're all staying in Saskatchewan. And in my age, 46, I bet 90% of our grade went to Alberta, because Alberta was, you can go, there was lots of work, you can get ahead. And Saskatchewan has that same, like with agriculture, agriculture's really taken off. Oh yeah, it's a good feeling.
Give us some reasons to do business in Canada. Give us some reasons to stay here. Just like Gary's commenting on, why are people staying in Saskatchewan? Because they've been given a lot of opportunities and reasons why to stay there that they normally wouldn't be out of there. That is not a U.S. issue. That is a in your own backyard issue to make it better.
Policies really do matter, and to have a policy that is pro-economic is huge. Look, my brother-in-law is a real estate agent in Vancouver, and he was just loving life for the last 6-7 years. They changed those policies and brought in those taxing foreign ownership and all. There's no houses moving, and the market's dropped by 20-30%, which
That's what they wanted.
That's what they wanted, but that's really tears apart your economy when your government is trying to bring down the prices on things. Like, it's just policies do matter, man.
Rob, what you're just saying there, if gas at the pump is 25 cents a liter, we're in trouble in this country.
Oh.
Huge. We don't even realize that. And God bless all of our retired people now to say, well, that's great. I only have to pay 25 cents a liter. It's not good for the economy. No. When the leaders are up strong and our economy is strong and we have to pay for those things because everybody's thriving, that is awesome. Because if gas was 25 cents a liter, our barrels of oil is probably $10 a barrel. That is not good for the economy. So, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody out there on the air, but we have to have stabilization and good prices at the pump. That tells us everybody's doing well.
Reasonable,
it really does.
right?
Reasonable.
Like, we don't need $100 a barrel oil, right? Like 70, 80.
I'd love it if it did.
So let's talk about that.
But I mean for the economy.
What is that number for you guys? I always use a benchmark in Canada. If we're getting $75 a barrel regularly, that we can, and just it stayed there on the thermometer, on the scale. I think, man, we could do really well with that.
$75 to $85. It's not crippling to the economy. It's not. We'd make decent money. The wheels keep turning. 2.5%, 3% growth is good growth. Like, we don't need things to shoot up crazy high. Like when the oil hit 135, 100, whatever it did there when the U.S. or Russia and Ukraine went to war, that turned out to be pretty bad pretty quick, right? Yes, we made some fantastic money.
We can celebrate that.
But oil or gas was like at 220, 230, 270 in other places of the country. You can't. It kills the economy.
Sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Exactly.
So, in my opinion, the number's $75 to $85.
Here's another good question for
with
you guys.
$130.
If you allowed the producers to absolutely maximize the amount of oil that was available in Canada, we got the pipelines from east to west, and we can take our markets wherever. And then the government said, we want to take a percentage of that from you. We would still be so far ahead in our country because we were allowed to maximize our potential. Wouldn't that just absolutely take a whole bunch of the deficit of this country away, Gary? Wouldn't it? Makes sense, doesn't it? The more you have, I don't mind coming and asking you for a little bit of it, if the more you have, because you've been allowed to do what you need to do with your resources. I just think if we knew we were all getting $120 a barrel, I hope I say this the right way and people can blame it on me in the podcast, and you were asked to make a donation to something, because you're doing so well, it's not as hard on you to get asked for a donation when you're not doing as well. That's just common default.
I think the 120 is too high, but if we could get the volumes up, like Canada should be another 1 million barrels a day out of the oil sands and the Montney gas. We're just finally getting our one LNG facility going, and as we speak, and you see that with gas prices. And
a year ago, gas, you couldn't give it away. You couldn't even get. You had to pay to get into systems like out there and around Grand Prairie. People were paying just so they could get their gas in the system, so they could keep their wells flowing.
Yeah.
And a couple LNG plants, that all ends. And but there were
good paying jobs.
Yes.
Good paying jobs on the coast. So the guys working there, you're getting clean energy, displacing
coal. How many more jobs would we have at 1 million barrels a day? Man, that would just boost it.
And all good paying.
Yeah.
And it's there. And that's where the lost and
that's where the frustration comes in too.
It just, people want to work and people need a fair wage, and you can get it. You got the industry that has the potential to do all that. Like, oil's never been a low-paying wage environment.
And if you say the patch is great right now, what does that do for the atmosphere and the mindset of the community? Well, the patch is great. Trump's taking all the tariffs off. He's actually going to pay us more for our oil than we did before.
You can't keep enough of audits on the floor.
Yeah. That would be awesome, right?
Yeah.
But it ain't the Trump thing. When we go back, it's like, how as a country do we, Trump is what he is. Let's use this as a
Yeah.
stepping stone to
We-
work.
To make ourselves better.
We really need to quit worrying about Trump and worry about ourselves.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing
Is that a
that
good
people.
way to end today?
I think so. I think that's the biggest thing that people will take away. And the other thing, Tracy, is the very first show we did on Patchwork, the very first time we ever did this show, what you said has stuck with me for the longest time. We just want to work it out of the way.
Yeah.
Just let us work. We're not asking for anything special. We just want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you step back, we really appreciate
Thank
you
you,
guys
Gary.
coming in. Thank you.
Great job, you guys.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Tracy. We're back with you tomorrow. Paul Richet's on the show. Paul is asking for your help in holding SHA to the fire. He has put together a list of 12 things that could improve our health care system here in Lloydminster. It's one of those things where we're kind of, are we Saskatchewan? Are we Alberta? Who's helping us? Who's doing this? Well, Paul is saying, if you start holding your politicians accountable, these are the 12 things you should be asking about. We'll find out more about that tomorrow morning.